I'm Nick Roush. He's Adam Luckett, and this is 11 Personnel. Na-na-na-na-na, na-na-na-na-na. You ever a Jeopardy guy, Luckett? I, oh, you're
I
muted.
sure was. I sure
Yeah.
was. Sure am still.
See, I've admittedly faded some since Trebek's passing, RIP, and also just children. This is bedtime, you
Yeah,
know.
we watched the All Stars or whatever. I guess that happens in the summer. I remember watching that last year, like being locked in to that.
I just love the intro guy. Like that's what I was trying to do there. It
Yeah.
doesn't work quite as well. But you know who does work well is our presenting sponsors. Monticello Bank. They're gonna work well for you. They're gonna put the numbers on your side. Interest rates aren't the greatest at times unless you're working with a local lender like Monticello Bank. They've been in business forever. I mean, hundreds of years. 3 centuries ago, technically. Yeah, because it would be 21st, 2019. So it's only like 125 years, but 3 centuries of experience at Monticello Bank across the Commonwealth, working for you to put the numbers on your side, whether it's just rather doing some personal checking or, hey, maybe you're looking for a big expense coming up. Check out Monticello Bank, NBCbank.com. They're simply the best over at Monticello Bank because they're putting people first. Monticello Bank, where people matter. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Look, I wanted to start, like, this is going to be a heavy recruiting show because it's a heavy recruiting month. But, dude, I remember I just want to give you an opportunity to take a victory lap because I remember a few months ago when you were talking about just like, hey, just imagine it now. College football playoff, NFL playoffs, all coming together at the same time. Football, football, football. And look, we got to schedule this week, and whoo, have mercy. It is, oh, people have just they've been talking about all of the bad things about the college football playoff. Buddy, look at that schedule. That is, that's a thing of beauty. Oh, whew.
Yeah, there's always the it starts in like with Maxim, right? You have football on every day for you have a game, at least a game a day for like 40 days, whatever that is, until the
I
college
think they
football.
extended it too because Conference USA kind of started doing it in October before Maxon took
Right.
over in November. Yeah.
So there you go. So you have that. Well, that you would have the Tuesdays off is the thing there because they're playing on Wednesdays. You would have Tuesdays with no games. But either way, yeah, you have that long period where there's all these football games on. It's just like football nirvana. And then I think you lean in, like they're leaning into it more with how these extended this 12-team playoff here. You get the dates again, uh, like the middle December. They're gonna have those games on campus. Those are just gonna be awesome games to watch. And
Yeah.
TNT's getting involved with the broadcast there. And then after that, you're gonna have 3 more rounds. After that, you'll have the quarters, you'll have the semis, then you'll have the national title game, and they stretched them out and gave them each like I think 10 days between them or something along that. And
Pretty
then you
much.
got
Yeah.
NFL starting up, and then the NFL playoffs will get going around that time. It's just going to be like football's taking over that whole. I think it's always kind of controlled December, but now you're seeing college football. I think lean into January now, along with the NFL. It's just going to totally own that month, and it's going to be fun seeing how that playoff shakes out. I still think like we're not really going to comprehend it or really totally get how big it is until I think that moment arrives. But it's
hmm
definitely going to be fun, and we get New Year's Day games this year.
Yeah. Yeah. Which that always irks me. But I'll just rattle off the schedule real quick because you go rivalry week, conference championship week, Army Navy, college football playoff. You'll have, I guess this is when the other bowls start going into effect. But the first round of college football playoff, it's Friday night, Saturday triple header. And there's some big NFL games on that Sunday. Then we have in the quarterfinals, the Fiesta Bowl is New Year's Eve at 7:30, which I love a good New Year's Eve football game. I got hooked when Johnny Football played against Duke, and I want to say the Cotton Bowl, and I didn't really have plans. We were in the bars in Lexington, and I was just like, dude, they're wanting to bar hop, and I'm like, I got a good spot to watch this game, and this game rocks, so I'm gonna just stay locked in. Now that we're old hacks, we aren't chasing bars or women or anything. Like, I'm sitting my ass in that chair and watching that football game before I get three more the next day.
Yeah, well, one thing about this, Nick, is if Kentucky doesn't make the playoff, the bowl game they would likely be in would be one of those New Year's Eve games, or it would be a
Oh
January
man.
2nd game. So that could play out. We could be on the road for all of those. So that could definitely play out.
The Belk Bowl night was a great night for college football watching because it was nooner, I want to say, on New Year's Eve, and so once it was over, kind of kicked back at the hotel bar and pour some drinks and watch a little football. So, but we're kind of used to that. What we're not used to is what comes next, and that is, like you said, it's a 10-day break, semifinals on Thursday and Friday. Then it's Super Wild Card weekend. So we get two playoff games, three off playoff games on Sunday, playoff game on Monday Night Football. And then it jumps ahead to the semifinals. So you get a little bit of you go Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Hell, I'm sorry. I got that wrong. It's Super Wild Card weekend, then Thursday, then Friday, then divisional rounds on that weekend in the NFL. And then as soon as the divisional rounds are, damn it, I got this all mixed up. Like I really screwed the pooch up here.
I think what you're trying to say here is you're getting some overlap here with the NFL playoffs and the college football playoff.
Yes. It goes Super Wild Card weekend. Then you have 5 days in a row of football where they go Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then you have divisional round weekend. You take the week off, championships happen, and then boom, championship weekend. Like it's just pairing the two together to be perfect. I got a little ahead of my skis there.
Yeah, and divisional round is probably my favorite weekend of the NFL playoffs. So you get a jam-packed Saturday and Sunday there, and then college football's mixed up in there. So yeah, it's gonna be fun time. It's gonna be different. The bowl landscape. Just going through the bowl schedule, I was like, well, this is different. And then I really don't like pushing those games past New Year's Day. Like, that feels weird. Like, we don't need a Duke's Mayo Bowl on January 2nd. We don't need the Bahamas Bowl on January 4th.
Right.
But I think that's probably just
The way the calendar
consequence to how the playoff shakes out now. And so it is what it is. But yeah, definitely the new postseason it's new and it's fresh and it's exciting. And it's only new for 2 years because then we get 14 team in 2026. So you can do this all again in 2 years.
Where I got it wrong is the national championship is the Monday after the divisional round. That's where I got wrong. So
yeah, I mean that's perfect. Then you get the extra right because wild card goes
5
to
days
Monday
in a row,
night,
wild card. Yeah,
and then you go into the divisional round. You get the double dip on Saturday. You get the double dip on Sunday for the NFL, and then college national championship on Monday. Like it's awesome.
Yeah,
Can't
it's
beat
going to
it.
be awesome. I just beefed it initially. Shout out Field Yates for putting 2 and 2 together for me. I appreciate it. Sorry, Matty G, I couldn't spit it out. But because our brains really have like it for the most part, we're just elbows deep in recruiting right now, and I think where we should just start is just right off the top with the biggest thing coming up, and then I'm ready for you to kind of put some pieces together with some things maybe down the stretch. We can share what we've seen at some of these camps, but I think first and foremost, just most importantly, 5 official visitors this weekend that KSR can confirm, 2 of which are already committed: Stone Saunders and Tucker Caddis. Darren Stray is the offensive tackle that Tucker Caddis mentioned after he committed and said, I want that guy. And then you have the 2 top-ranked uncommitted players from the state of Kentucky: Isaac Spike Sal's, the center from Louisville Male, and then Javion Campbell from Western Hills. And I'm kind of going to work in reverse chronological order here, but Campbell's one of those like it that physically he already looks like a college football player, but from a skill standpoint, he's just so new to the football game that he is a very, very exciting prospect. especially with the potential to pair him up with all these other talented young guys that they've got in that room. That's a big one who has a lot of big suitors around like it. And I'd be a lot more nervous if Steve Wiltfong wasn't so confident in Kentucky and where they stand with Campbell, because he started at Ohio State and then he's going to Auburn, Alabama, and Georgia after he trips at Kentucky. So typically you see Kentucky going up against those guys. That's an uphill battle, but he does go to Wandale Robinson's alma mater right down the street, Western Hills. So you got to feel good about that and the relationships there. And what in the nil game, proximity matters. Being the in-state guy matters, and
Right.
he's a bona fide top 200 guy who's really got a high ceiling as a guy who's new to football.
One big thing with Campbell, when I kind of built out big boards this week for KSR Plus, was there's really not any other defensive line targets. I mean, really, like he's kind of it. And if they were to miss on him, like where they went would be a huge question. Now, I think you could argue that's a sign that they feel like they're gonna get him. Like they feel pretty good about it. I think there's some people like Steve Wiltfong that feel pretty good. We've heard good things about where Kentucky stands, and so we'll have to see. And they got to go and close him this weekend. But he's, I think, the only defensive prospect on campus, Nick. So he's going to get the full press from the defensive staff, and he's a big target. He's definitely, I think, like there's a lot of projection with him, what he can become. Not necessarily what he is right now, but just, I mean, look at his recruitment. I mean, everybody in college football wants him, so I don't think all those schools are wrong. Like that's typically a pretty good sign, pretty good pull. Kentucky swimming in. He is a big target for the Wildcats, mainly because that is their clear tier 1, tier A defensive line prospect, and they got to go get him and wrap him up. And he's a hop, skip, and a jump down the road, down 64.
And if you also looked at what Kentucky would have done thus far, it'd be 3 top 200 guys, right? I mean, like that's a great start with if you paired up Campbell with Marquise Davis and who am I forgetting? Forgetting somebody. Martellus Carter, but I guess he's right out. He's French. He's more top 300, but that would be significant. We're going to keep close eyes on him. Walker, y'all brought up in the chat that Taryn Hendrick is now visiting. We haven't been able to confirm it. He's changed his visits multiple times, so it wouldn't surprise me. But I'm just gonna wait, look it, because I'm just gonna wait till I hear it, because he was going one weekend, then another, now another. So we'll wait and see.
Yeah, it's setting up to be a big OL recruiting weekend if that happens. It already was one, but that would be even more so.
So with Sal's is fascinating to me.
Is it Sal's or Souls? Do we know?
Whatever. It's my Kentucky coming out. That L spot.
I think it's Souls, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong there.
That's my.
So if you're in the chat and if you know Mel High School or anything like that, please let us know.
Well, everybody assumed this is going to be a Kentucky Louisville recruitment, but NC State likes where they are. I think they've gone really heavy early, Luckett, out of necessity, and he's been very receptive to it. I just don't. If Kentucky or Louisville come in heavy late, does that just completely eradicate the early momentum they built? I don't know. I would think so, because it's Kentucky or Louisville. And here's the other part, too. I just think so little of the ACC that if you choose to go play football in the conference, then that's a you problem. I mean, I just can't imagine it. So it's just unfathomable to me.
Even if they lost out on July 18th, which is his scheduled announcement, and he picks NC State, I mean, he's a flip candidate the whole way.
Yeah. Now, it might be different if he picked Louisville, because that's, he would do the whole, like, anytime kids come into town, he would show up, right? Like, it's different if you're committing to the local school, but if you're committing to the ACC school
I don't get the sense that Louisville's really close to the top tier in this. I could be wrong, But it feels like there should be more buzz for him over at Louisville. I mean, it's not like he's some sneaky candidate or somebody they're trying to keep on the down low. I just feel like there's not much buzz
Right.
for him there.
They're probably recruiting out of necessity, but aren't that like they have to, but they aren't going to go all in.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like Kentucky, NC State at this point.
Yeah,
well, I would say Miami's third,
and that would be a nice addition. It's nice to get a center every other year, just to kind of pace and space that out. So that just from stacking things up, where they've struggled is offensive tackle, and this is where we can get into the offensive linemen because one of them I watched camp this weekend, Jameel Atkins from Trotwood Madison and Dayton. He's not visiting this weekend, but a big 6'7" offensive tackle who's didn't play football until he got to high school, was a basketball guy, really long. I think you can say that too about Darren Stray, who checks all the right boxes at offensive tackle. But it goes back to a conversation we've had previously, where I'm terrified about the Michigan kid going to visit Stanford as his last visit. Like that just – there's a kid I played basketball with in Northern Kentucky, Tate. What was Tate's last name? But he ended up going and playing ball out at Stanford, where I think he was initially committed to Notre Dame. Tate Nichols, I believe was his name. And it's just Stanford got him hook, line, sinker, went out there and he was sold, So that part of it does slightly scare me a little bit of Darren Stray, because I think he might low-key be the best of the tackles they're pursuing. But at least they have seemingly cast a wider net and are getting some high 3-star offensive tackles on the campus for official visits this month.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say he's the best tackle prospect that they're in on, that they could realistically land at this point, and he's just a huge target to me. Now, they did get a bit of good news in this, Nick.
Mm-hmm.
Wisconsin took a commitment today from Nolan Davenport's tackle from Massillon, Ohio. That's 3 tackles they got in their class right now. And I have the sense that this was kind of a Kentucky-Wisconsin battle with Stanford kind of looming. Stanford just got an RPM pick from Steve Wiltfong for a 5-star offensive tackle.
Oh.
So
okay.
I think some things are lining up here for Kentucky.
Love it.
And Stray's recruitment is pretty wide open. Like, he's been to Illinois, he's been to Northwestern, he wants considering Stanford, considering Wisconsin. I think he just went to Cincinnati. But I think this feels like one where he might not commit next week, but I think Kentucky could wrap this up this weekend. I think there's a chance for that.
And it also helps having
commit on July 4th, but I think this is a chance. I think he's like, if you were going to rank the level of importance, I think he's the number 1 prospect this weekend.
Yeah.
Because just the positional value and where their board stacks up, who would be next if you missed on him. I think he's a big target. They want to get back into Michigan, specifically recruiting linemen. I think this would be a big win for them. We already know via Tucker Caddis that they're really working hard on him. I think he's going to get the full court press from the coaching staff this weekend. I think there's going to be a big push to potentially lock him down.
And it helps having the other guys around too, like Caddis, who's already locked up, who can really emphasize. And when we write these stories and these kids get these quotes about how it feeling like family, I mean, I'm sure it gets redundant for many of you all, but having the whole Caddis family there, and it's like, yeah, they all play here, right? That sort of stuff I think helps quite a bit and can help play a role in twisting the wheels, getting those cogs turning, and hopefully getting Stray walked up. The last guy we had not mentioned yet was Stone Saunders, who it's a bit odd. I don't want to say odd. I don't know the right wording for it, just because you rarely see a guy commit to another play caller, like 6-7 months ago, but he's sticking around. And then it might get a little awkward that they got another quarterback, but they needed 2 quarterbacks in this class, even if the new play caller got the other guy. So even though there might be some, who do you like more, Stone or Brennan Ward? Getting both is necessary. Like it when your quarterback room is as drained as Kentucky's.
Yeah, it's just there's. I'm trying to think of how to describe this, but there is some definitely some feeling out there with how that's going to work. I think with both of them in the class. Um, Kentucky's never really been in this position, right? For being honest.
The last guy was Amani Gilmore and Walker Wood, and it's a little different.
So I think there's definitely some balancing and make sure everyone's ego is ready to rock and roll a little bit. So I think some of that is going on. I do find it interesting, Nick, that they're not OVing on the same weekend. Like they split up these commits a little
Probably
bit.
smart, yeah.
And so yeah, I'll be interested to see how this plays out long term. I think the big thing for both of them is if one of them said, this is not a good fit, for whatever reason, where do they land? Like I talk about this with QB recruiting all the time. It moves so fast that you kind of have to get spots locked in, right? And spots get locked in, and there's not a lot of landing spots after spots get locked in, right? And so to me, it's like a thing where you'll probably see, I think, both these guys stay committed throughout the season. And then if a move came, you're looking in like November, December when there's like a coaching change. Coaching change come, you need quarterbacks, shuffle around a little bit. That's when a move would happen. But we'll see. I definitely think there's a filling out process right now with everybody because the guy who recruited Stone is not here anymore, right? I mean, that was Liam Cohen recruit. Whereas Brennan Ward was more of a, Vince first, Vince working that, and then Bush Hamden came in and helped them close. And that's something they're balancing out right now. And some recent camp performances of Ward, the word has been that he's performed really well. And then I think you turn on his junior tape, and there's a lot to like. I really liked his junior tape. And so definitely going to be something to keep an eye on, both now and in the future if they were to lose one of them. Like what happens with the other one if they go somewhere. But like Stone Saunders' runner-up was Nebraska. Nebraska's got Dylan Raiola. They got Dylan Raiola after that happened, after Saunders committed to Kentucky. So would Nebraska be interested? They signed 2 quarterbacks last year with Raiola and Daniel Kalen. 2, like Raiola's locked in there, for at least 2 more years once you're on campus. So where at Kentucky there might be a earlier chance at playing time, you might have to beat out a guy in your class, but it is how it is. But it's definitely new because Kentucky's not used to selling the just come here, battle it out. Worst you can transfer. Winner's going to have a big payoff. That's not a sell they've had to make in the past. But I think it would be. I would like to see them keep both, just because it's a lottery. Your lottery tickets, right? These quarterbacks are lottery tickets in recruiting, and so the more lottery tickets you get, the better chance there are you're going to hit on one of them.
I'm really disappointed in the chat asking if a scruffy beard and a pseudo mustache is a requirement for KSR personalities. Chris, buddy, it's the summer, okay? I mean, you think I'm getting up and shaving every day? This is I cut the grass earlier. I'm still stinking. I haven't shaved, cut my hair, done nothing. It's lighten up, Chris. All right. We'll get clean shaven when it's real time. We're in the war room, by God. We're camping. We're watching these guys throw, but we're having a lot of fun. And if you want to have a lot of fun doing what you love for a living, might I talk with you for a second about our friend Andy Oledicki at My Perfect Franchise? You had displaced corporate exec or want to put your career in your own hands. Or maybe you're an experienced entrepreneur that wants to diversify. Well, Andy Oledicki and MyPerfectFranchise.net can help. Andy's a huge college sports fan and a franchise veteran, being on multiple franchises and business. Using his expertise, he can help others find the American dream through consultation and the evaluation process. Call Andy and put your life and career in your own hands. Best of all, his services are 100% free to you. You got nothing to lose. Just find your perfect franchise with Andy Oledicki at myperfectfranchise.net. Myperfectfranchise.net. Look it. we did get to see Brennan Ward throw this week at camp. That was a pleasant surprise because I was having a conversation with somebody recently who's very plugged in and just about the camp experience now. And it just, it's not what it was 5-6 years ago because the calendar has moved up where now kids, if they know they've got official visits, they're not necessarily camping and trying to still get evaluated. Like there's almost like a contentment where it's like, well, I'm good. I don't need to go and work out and try to do this, that, and the other. So we don't get as many of the top guys coming and throwing and catching or whatever it may be.
It's a lot of underclassmen.
Exactly. It's mostly 26 guys, 27 guys. There was a kid who hasn't played high school football yet the other day that I was like, damn, that kid hasn't played high school football yet. But we did have Brendan Ward show up because that's a valuable time for quarterbacks. This is the one time of the year they can work out one-on-one with their quarterback coach. And I'm not – I know quite a decent bit of ball. Quarterback mechanics, I feel like you can be successful in throwing a lot of different ways. But he's a good-looking athlete who – doesn't waste a lot of time throwing the football. And I feel like he's one, too, that has just steadily improved ever since he got on our radar.
Yeah, I think with Ward, watch the tape, quick release, compact, gets it out, no waste of motion, and you kind of saw that play out. In camp, intermediate accuracy was very, very good in camp. And then downfield, missed on some throws, but it's also new receivers.
It was pouring raining.
I don't want to put too much stock into that. You can see the downfield throws on a junior tape if you want to turn it on. So looks the part. I think, Nick, he's bulked up a little bit. I think you can see some of that. Like, he's not a small quarterback. I said this when he committed. They don't ask him to run a lot, but when you see him move off script with the football, he looks like a guy who can add value in the run game. So I'll be interested to see if we see maybe his run game uptick this year for Gahanna Lincoln up there in Ohio. So that's something that you could see him, especially with Bush Hamden's style of offense. He's talked about they want to run that quarterback, and I think he can add some of that. And so he's a guy too. I think, based on what I saw in the junior tape, if he does that again and Gahanna Lincoln has a good year and you see similar numbers, he's going to be a 4-star recruit by the end of this cycle. I like what I've seen from him so far. And I think the arrow's pointing up for him as a prospect. Now, he's got to go out and have a good senior year, but I think you could see him potentially have a nice little rankings bump here moving forward with a big year because I think he kind of surprised a lot of people. Came out kind of a little bit out of nowhere as a junior. And then if he takes Gahanna Lincoln and they have a big year, I would not be surprised if you see him really rise up the rankings.
The other part, too, about that school you mentioned, it's one of the larger schools in the state, and they don't have the richest tradition, but made it all the way to the state semifinals before they ran into, I believe, St. Edward, if I'm not mistaken, which Boyle plays St. Edwards this year, too. And if you pay any attention to the national USA Today rankings, St. Ed's is always near the top. They're playing in that Division I
superstar team last year.
Yeah. It's full of studs. So Brennan Ward, certainly exciting to watch. At that camp we were at, there was at least one guy, a 25er, who showed up and was trying to earn that offer. And he posted a crazy 40 time at 4.4. His name's Noah King. Afterwards, he gets an offer. Good athlete from Cincinnati. And you're seeing the thing, I love the part of camps where you get the good 40 time, and then it's the Kentucky offer, and then the dominoes start falling elsewhere. This time, it was Noah King on Sunday. Nebraska followed, and then one of the more interesting guys that I hadn't heard of until this week was the baseball player from Owensboro, Evan Hampton, who, I mean, the more you dig in on that kid, the more you're like, this kid's for real. I mean, he ended up getting to Arkansas and a Louisville after the Kentucky ones, after seemingly having none. But he's been committed to the Kentucky baseball program for a year. Meanwhile, he just went and put up 2,000 all-purpose yards, helped Owensboro reach the Class 5A semifinals, 25 touchdowns. Like, the kid's a stud, and he just went and ran a 4.4. So I'm fascinated because how much does he's a good size too. He's like 6'1", 200 pounds as a sophomore, just finishing his sophomore year. So he's a Kentucky baseball commit. How much of a leg up do they have, and how many other schools get in? You know, aside from just like how big of a recruitment does this kid end up blowing up? I'm fascinated just to see where this goes because. You don't get the multi-sport guys who were legit. I mean, he bat 470 last year. Like that doesn't like what?
Yeah. And back on they finished 12-1, Nick. They lost to Upper Arlington in the playoffs, Gahanna Lincoln. They had a running back that went to West Virginia, Dior Hubbard, had a monster year. And then I'd say the run versus offense, but Ward completed nearly 68% of his passes. Threw for 21 touchdowns with only throwing 17, 18 times per game. So smaller sample size, but I think if you see those numbers increase in a larger sample size, I think you're going to see him blow up. But Noah King, like that's what these camps are about to me. This is how Quaysheed Scott got an offer from Kentucky last year. Came to camp, ran a good 40, worked out. Coaches loved it. Let's take him. And I think you're seeing something similar play out with Noah King, except we're finding out about this where Quaysheed Scott was kind of under the radar. And then with him, I think just that size and that's the move at that speed is like a big deal.
Yeah.
And so
he's and that young too. Like he's 27, right?
Yeah. No. He's this class. He's 25.
Oh, sorry. I was thinking about the baseball.
You're thinking of Owensboro.
You're
thinking of Owensboro running back. But with King, like he checks the big trait boxes you want checked.
Yeah.
So, like I can see it there. Big, fast, can move. Made some competitive plays in camp. I still think he needs some development, but there's a lot to like there. And for him, like I think you're going to see, and we've already seen it. Matt Rule has made it at Baylor. He made a big deal about like combine traits, broad jump, arm length, speed, shuttle times. All of that was really important to him when in the player evaluation for them. And he took that to Nebraska. Like I was not surprised to see them offer once they get the intel or the data that, oh, he did this, this, and this at Kentucky. He's got a track background, all of this. And so that was a really big deal. And then the Owensboro kid, I think that's a guy we need to watch closely this year. Like see what he does on the field.
I'm just fascinated because that he does the kind of stuff that you heard about 20 years ago that just doesn't really happen anymore. He's a
2026 guy. Yeah.
Yeah. But like that's a kid that a throwback to my cousin at Trinity, when they're going to state in basketball, winning in football. You're going to Michael Bush, right? Like hell, even Jameis. Jameis played baseball at Florida State. I guess Kyler Murray's the other one. But digging even deeper back, it's like when Freddie Wayne Maggard's lighting him up back at Cumberland Redskins, which, by the way, Freddie's very humble about how good he was at baseball. But he had one story where he was like, yeah, knew the scouts were showing up one day, so I went out there, pitched a no-hitter, and hit 3 home runs. It's like, against, what? Yeah, that's just kind of a normal day, run-of-the-mill day for old Freddie Wayne. But that's why in Hampton too, his uncle played baseball at UK, and he's got family that are officials, collegiate officials in Harrison County. So bleeds Kentucky through and through though, so that's a good start. But like you said, we're gonna need some game of the weeks down in Western Kentucky just to go check out Evan Hampton.
Looks like it.
I'm trying to think of some other, because I want to get to the Ohio State stuff. Are there any other
Boyle
think.
County. I mean, the tight end,
Oh yeah,
Seneca
shit, yeah.
Driver.
Just take it away, Luckett. Just
I mean,
damn.
it's he's going to be a top 100 recruit in
Yeah,
2027. If he's not top 100, positional value probably have something to do with that since he plays tight end.
right.
He's going to be a national recruit.
He's so good.
You know, and he's still got, I think, some room to grow into his frame. So, I
Yeah.
mean, he's going to be up to 240 pounds, I would say, by the time he gets to college. Like, there's a lot to like about him, and he's going to be a national recruit that Kentucky. He's going to have to fight some big dogs on, but I think the early work is getting done with him right now.
Right.
And Boyle County, again, they're stacked. Like they had a bunch of guys out there, not necessarily many like Kentucky good, but a lot of guys that could go play college somewhere. Specifically in that junior class, there was a lot of 26s out there.
Yeah.
That Justin Haddock's had out there, so they're going to be very, very good. Not
Those
only
Hines
this year,
brothers,
but in the next couple of years.
Jaqueen and I'm struggling with their names,
Yeah.
but those kids look good. But the thing about Seneca Driver too, and here's the other crazy part too, they've got another 6'6", 27 tight end that is
Maddox Hager, yeah.
Yeah, he's going to be a big time recruit as well. Not Seneca Driver big time, but still damn good. And would probably be Vince's top target in any other year as long as he wasn't on the same team as that guy. But as a big clumsy human, I can speak to this very well. I would just expect somebody his age who's that large to not be so fluid going in and out of breaks. Where like Noah King, his strengths are not ball skills. I mean, the kid in his tape, he doesn't have any coverage stuff at all on there because he hasn't done much of it, right? Like he's very, very inexperienced when it comes to that. But he's still 4.4 fast, 2 years older. Safety should win. It was raining and all that, and there's the shirts. There's nothing to grab onto. But safety should win his fair share there.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Driver was just, even when under good coverage, like that one play that I got where King was all over him like white on rice, and the second effort there by Driver, like that's the kind of just like, all right, we don't get that many of those guys like that in the state of Kentucky. They're just, they don't happen. So,
yeah, I don't want to overcomplicate it. He's just really good, and he's
Yeah.
going to be a big time recruit down the road. I mean, he's only going to be a sophomore this year,
Right.
so. But yeah, you could just see it with him.
He's a good looking ball player. Boyle County, they got some talented athletes. From my understanding, Montavian Quisenberry, I wasn't there on Monday, but he did not camp. We were expecting him and Sean Terry, a Notre Dame commit, to show up at some point from Ironton, Ohio. Hasn't happened yet, but we got another week of camps, plenty of time for unofficial visits. But I did want to go into some of the camping at Ohio State because I'm just fascinated by how much that matters to Kentucky. And it feels weird to say, but when you're just like, yeah, really hope the Ohio State doesn't want that kid so Kentucky can get him. Because it sounds like you sound a little desperate and you sound a little lame. But, they're just in a different ballpark.
Layers to this. Yeah.
Right, exactly. And so Ohio State's seconds would be bona fide badasses for Kentucky. See Dwayne Galloway, who ran a 4.35 at Ohio State's camp the other day, but doesn't have an offer from them because they have 2 5-stars committed. So let's keep those 5 stars committed to Ohio State, Lucky. Can we get that? Can we make sure that happens?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I look at you're right. Like Jaden Clark went up there and camped. He's camping at Kentucky next week from Clayton, Northmont. But even last year, Brian Robinson went up there and camped, Nick. This happens every year.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Brian Nichols camped up there. Like this This is what those kids do in Ohio. They go there and camp. So it's something you got to watch. Brody Lennon is scheduled to camp up there eventually. So it's just something you have to watch, but it's just part of the thing. Like Demarion Winton went up there and camped, right? Right after his OV at Kentucky.
Yeah.
Kentucky felt really good they were going to get him, and then surprisingly camps when he camps, and then commits to Ohio State pretty much on the spot. And so, that's just, it's a game you have to play, but it's important to monitor. Like Kentucky probably doesn't get C.J. Conrad if Ohio State decides to offer him. And when he went up there, it can't work out. It's
Right.
just something you have to deal with, and so I think that's just what
It's the
what
game.
they're
It's the
trying
game
to
you play when you recruit the state of
what they're
Ohio.
trying to manage right now. And Brody
Hmm.
Lennon's to me is the big one because that's their number one tight end. If they lost him to Ohio State, that would sting. Tight end's not a huge big point of emphasis, but Lennon's a guy Kentucky likes a lot, and that's a guy they want. And so you're gonna have to get through that. But so far, I think on the Ohio State stuff, so good. The Witten thing hasn't happened yet, and
Yeah.
we'll see what happens with Lennon. But that's where things stand there.
Yeah. It just always feels odd having to do that, but you do. You certainly do. Like it. I'm trying to think of some other recruiting developments, but there's been just so many, and there's a lot of little things here and there. If you want just your brain plugged directly into all the recruiting information you want and need about the Kentucky Wildcats, sign up for KSR Plus. I mean, it's a steady stream of information all day, every day, throughout the days. And when you use promo code UK1 to sign up, 2 months for only $1. Special offer for all of our podcast listeners and viewers here on the KSR YouTube channel. We appreciate y'all watching online. And when you get to watch online, you get treated to things like Matty G and Tinker arguing in the chat, a Tennessee Vol fan. And really, really loves. I always appreciate when Tennessee fans try to bring up basketball and then you just do the Final Four thing. And then they're like, well, you got us there. Because, yeah, you've never been to a Final Four. Like what a joke of a program. Imagine not going to a Final Four like it. Like just what a sad state of affairs. Ah, couldn't be me.
Could be
Hey,
me.
how are you? Which speaking of, we need to win 2 baseball games this weekend so they can't bring up the College World Series. How are we feeling about this? Because things went better than expected in the regional, and now I don't want to be too overconfident. I love that Oscar Combs brought up because the Bazana kid for them, the second
Mhm.
baseman, who's, I mean, you name the statistic, he's top 5 in it. I think he's 6th in home runs, though. So 6th in home runs and 9th in hits. But I want to say 3rd in all of college baseball in batting average. Like, the kid's a freaking stud. He's up for the Golden Spikes Award. He's a top 5 guy. He's probably going to win the Golden Spikes, which is the baseball Heisman. Um, But as Oscar Combs put it, Kentucky played the Georgia and Arkansas guys 6 times or no, 7, correct? And they were 6-1 against them. So one man does not make a team. The problem was Tennessee had 2 of them, and they would kind of alternate on which guy was kicking our ass and just teeing off on the pitchers on any given day. So I'm feeling all right about it. How are you feeling going into the Super Regional?
If it goes 3 games, I would be really worried.
You want you want Poozer and Moore to shut them down the first 2?
If they have to go 3 games, I would be worried because I think Oregon State's dynamic enough on offense where you get the starters, but you're going to really need work from the bullpen those first 2 games to win. And if you have to go 3 games, I would be worried. It seems like Oregon State's probably got the advantage if he goes day 3 pitching. So that would be my concern. The game, I think it's going to be the regional is going to be won on Sunday. To me,
At late
yeah.
night too.
So if Kentucky were to lose on Saturday, I would be really nervous. And if they have a chance to nail it down on Sunday, they need to do that.
I also don't like the fact that they're playing a program that just is a regular in the College World Series. You're probably going to get that in most super regionals. I understand that unless you look
Yeah.
into Evansville like Tennessee did. But and it's a little different because it's not the coach that won them 3 College World Series. It's a different guy. But
Yeah.
there's still they've been there before. This is a whole new thing. But on the other hand, since it is a new thing, it's going to be a sold out raucous crowd at KPP, which I'm jealous of all of y'all going because it's going to be spectacular this weekend. It's going to be great
Yeah.
weather. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah. So for Kentucky, I think it's very important to win game 1, and then they need to finish the deal game 2. And so I think it's going to be like I think it could go either way. Really with these teams, I think I like no result would shock me if Oregon State 1-2, if Kentucky 1-2, if either team 1-3.
Oh, speaking of the finals just started. Do you like
They
anybody
did.
in the finals?
Celtics in 6. Celtics in 6, and I bet Tatum Finals MVP.
See,
Lose
I just did Luca at 2-1 because I love Luca. I want the Celtics to lose from a internet standpoint. You know, just it'll be fun on the internet when the Celtics lose if that happens because just people will have so many takes. Um, but the Celtics are just the better team. I just
The
hope
Mavs
Luca.
deserve to lose with these ugly road jerseys they've been wearing all playoffs. Like, what are these? They look like they came from an AAU team.
At least they're wearing road jerseys though. I I get so ticked off when the Timberwolves got eliminated wearing those weird black alternate uniforms at home. You wear the white uniforms at home, right? Like that's just that. Call me old school, call me old fashioned. Basketball teams, you wear white uniforms at home, you wear dark colors on the road. Same thing with it's the opposite with football. Like the Cowboys and LSU, just wear your dark colors at home. The purple LSU uniforms, those are incredible, but they never wear them. Wear your dark colors at home. I am
Well,
with you
there's
though.
just
Look
like
at these.
they have like a little LSU thing where they kind of have their like the Lakers wear their yellow at home, purples on the road, and then they will wear the whites. Like they would mix them in. Yeah, I think they used to wear the white on all the weekend games.
Yeah,
Back when those came out. So yeah,
but
I
even
mean,
that was like controversial when those came out when Kobe was
but
there,
even
late Kobe
the
years.
the white Celtics jersey is one of my favorite jerseys just because it's old, traditional. It's been the same forever. And then
It's got a
they
big
wear
Vistaprint logo on it though, and that
now
was
he's got the
funny.
Vistaprint now, but they wear the black. The black ones I think are sharp, but it looks different. Like you should be wearing that in the playoffs. But yeah, maybe that's more too much.
Wear
Old
your
school.
blue Mavs jersey, right? Or can they do the Timberwolves thing and go back and wear their '90s uniform? Because the '90s
I mean, I don't know
Mavs
what these
uniforms
are
were
they have
sharp,
on. They look like they played in the ABA or something, and they just pulled them out for this season.
and they got this little squiggles there.
Yeah, what is this? Is this the NBL? Is this what they're wearing in Australia? These jerseys? What's going on here?
Oh man. Well, either way, glad we got a little bit of sports to hold us over. Like I said, we'll have more recruiting stuff coming out later this month. Like it, I don't know if you have anything else because I certainly do not.
I don't. Big weekend. I don't know if we'll get any early returns on anything like commitment on Monday or Tuesday or anything like that. But this is a time where Kentucky's going to lock down commitments, and O-line is the big focus area, right? With Spike and Spike Souls and Darren Stray and maybe Taryn Hedrick. Like it's a big weekend, and for Campbell. So this is a big trenches weekend to me. It's time to close, and so we'll see if Kentucky can get it done. Really, we'll see in 3-4 weeks, but this is a really important weekend for the program.
There's no doubt about that whatsoever. Next week, I'm doing a little radio juggling, so Luckett's going to help me out. My co-host, and my producer both bailed on me. It's like it's one thing if I still got Scoots around, but Scoots just on a whim plans a damn vacation 2 weeks out, and it's like you couldn't just go, any other week. You had to go the same week TJ's out. So I've got Luckett's filling in on Thursday. Got Brandon Ramsey joining me one day. I also think it's funny Jack and Zach are both vacationing that week as well. Big vacation time of the year.
Well, you caught me in a good time because I leave Saturday to go on vacation.
Perfect.
Or Friday night to go on vacation. So you caught me in a good time. Next week's show plan, just talking out loud here, we get the release show Tuesday.
Should we just do it then?
So let's go live on Tuesday as long as it works out with Peak, and then we can give U.S. Open picks on Tuesday so that we can let those marinate.
Better. And then, because how stupid would we be if we did 2 hours of radio on Thursday morning and then had to do another hour together? We would just, what are we going to say? Right?
Tuesday we get the live reaction from the schedule show.
Yep.
And then we can go into, maybe that'll be
commitment.
Time.
Maybe
we'll just run through Kentucky's schedule and just talk about how it shakes out. Maybe that'll be a good time for that. And then we can dive into U.S. Open picks.
Maybe we can share our intel, or do we save the camp intel till later? I'm looking
Yeah,
forward to that too. I've gotten some good stuff.
I was going to talk to you about when we want to put that out. If we want to maybe wait until after Sunday, the lineman camp.
Here's
See
for
what
the
we can hear.
people who stuck around for 50 minutes on a recruiting buzz show. Toot. If DJ Waller is good, holy shit. Like that kid's good. I mean, he's got the stuff. They're excited. They're very excited about DJ Waller. That could have been just like a clink, like I know you
Parting
left
gift.
us high and dry and you kind of fought us for a few years and it was a little weird, but thanks, buddy. Like this is a nice parting gift.
Right.
That could have been the best parting gift ever. Which
Yeah,
by the way,
he's a cover 3 zone scheme corner is what I would say. Just big and long, and like you just see size wise, you just see it. But we'll have to see him play. But like he checks some boxes, I think.
yeah. Whew. So yeah, there's your teaser for whenever we do share our intel. Maybe that's for like once the camps actually end and we started running out of stuff to talk about. But there will be plenty more. We appreciate you all following along with this on 11 personnel. For Adam Luck and I'm Nick Roush. Go Cats and go Kroger.